Random movement. So within a game, you might want to have an enemy or an object just randomly moving around. So this is what this tutorial is about. It's basically showing you the code you need to make that happen. So first things first, on our enemy, our white cylinder here, I'm going to add a component. As you can see, I've already typed in random movement because I made a mistake last time I tried to record this. And we're basically going to make a new script and we're going to create an ad. So the random movement will appear here. And if I double click on it, it should open up in Visual Studio for us, as it's doing at the moment. And for some reason, it's going to take ages to do this. I'm hoping it won't take that long. So let me just click on it. There we go. So it's generated this for us then. Now, the code you need for this, I've already got it kind of highlighted here, and I'm just going to copy it and paste it in place of this. And you don't actually need to do anything on this at all, but basically these top bits at the top here, that will define how far our movement will be or how far our object will move, enemy in this case, how quickly it will do it, and it will also rotate to face that direction as well. So if I just come back on Unity, and maybe I should have clicked on this first, it'll just check that that code is okay, and as it's loading up and okay in it, eventually it will say, okay, that's great, job done. So on our enemy now, you can see the code is updated. And if I click on the enemy, I can then change these if I want to during gameplay. So I'm this little red capsule over here in the distance. So if I press play to see what happens, then our enemy should be moving around and rotating as it's doing there as well. And let's just check by looking across to the left. And as we can see, it's actually moving. There we go. It is. I was hoping it would change direction there. Now, in respect of the sheep, obviously our sheep is just kind of sat still, not doing anything at this stage. I want it to do the same. So if I click on my sheep, and this is something I've made in Blender and brought in, and that's why I've got all these bits and pieces. Now the issue is going to be, but this pivot, which is basically the main kind of like center of it then, it's on its head. And if I just add the code to it, you'll see what happens now as a result of it being this. If I just drag and drop that code from down here where it says random movement to my sheep, and I'm not going to change anything there. I can do if I wanted to, but if I just save it, and I don't know why I press save, but if I just press play, it doesn't need to be saved. And when it loads up, our sheep will be moving just like our enemy was. And if I look to the left, you see it's great, it's moving, but then it doesn't look right because it's not actually rotating and it's kind of pivoting around its head where that pivot point was. So what I need to do to fix that, and I'm just going to minimize that down a second, I'm going to add an empty object, which I'm going to call sheep pivot. And you'll notice that this is the sheep pivot here. It's just kind of randomly dropped itself. I'm going to move this. So, and I'm just going to double check it's in the right position as well. It looks like it's kind of in the middle. It's a bit odd looking at it from this angle, but yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the sheep. What is it? I can't really tell. Let me double click on the sheep to get into place. So sheep pivot. That's better. So let's move it up and let's make it so it's more in the middle of it. And yeah, that's great, like that. And all I'm going to do then is drag and drop the sheep onto the sheep pivot. Now, what that should mean then is that this will randomly move, but instead I think I need to actually remove random movement from the sheep. So I'm just going to take it off there. And this time I'm actually going to add it to our sheep pivot instead. So this time when I press play, we should see that the sheep is moving more naturally. Now it's not going to be completely natural because it's not animated, but you kind of get the idea when I turn to the left, if it's worked, that is. So it's moving forward, maybe it's turning, that looks a little bit better. And it's kind of rotating correctly as well. So it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was a second ago. Now the code which I copied and pasted into this random movement, is actually in the comments below, so you don't have to type it up yourself, you can just copy and paste it across.